Ho, ho, ho! It's the season of being asked the question,
So, Ryan, what's your plan?
that time of the year is coming up again for the annual family investigation of our personal choices. You know, those nights when you're just trying to sit and enjoy grandma's roast turkey and all of a sudden you hear,
So, what's the plan for after uni, dear?
Now I understand that family questions, though well meant, can be overwhelming, especially if you're trying to figure out your path and you're in your quarter life crisis just like me. These questions can be particularly triggering, and you instantly feel like you have to defend your life choices. So I figured in this video I would give you advice on how to get through investigation season without you wanting to spill the wine all over that inquisitive grandparent or persistent aunt. Now, I'm 27, a new father, and still living at home. It's not what I would have wanted, but it's where I'm at. Life ends up having a way of moving in directions that we often don't expect. And being in this situation over the past 3 years has allowed me to train the muscle of response. And here's 3 tips that I typically use during the season of giving. Tip 1, don't explain, simply state. There's absolutely no need to clarify or justify your choices. When you answer questions, try and do so confidently. Keep them short and positive because this leaves little room for questioning. For instance, you could say something like, "It's currently an interesting time for me as I'm exploring my options." Keeping something that straightforward doesn't necessarily encourage further probing, and if they do go on to ask, "What are you planning to do in the new year?" you could answer something like, "That's what I am trying to figure out." Tip 2, redirect the conversation. Now, nothing makes a nosy cousin happier than probably showing off about themselves. More often than not, their question about your life is often a pretext to turn the conversation back to them. So why not make use of that and do it quicker than necessary? Whenever you are asked a question about what you plan to do next, reply with something like, "I'm still exploring my paths. Speaking of which, I heard that you recently," and then insert whatever they shared in the family WhatsApp group that they have achieved recently. This strategy is a double win because it not only diverts attention away from you, but also brings the conversation back to them. Tip 3, set clear boundaries. Now, I acknowledge that this is probably going to be the hardest tip of them all, but I do think that setting boundaries with family members is what's going to lead to your own peace of mind, because it's okay to keep certain aspects of your life private. So if a family member asks that question that feels just a little bit too personal, respond with something like, "I appreciate the fact that you are concerned. Honestly, I am. But right now I'm still in a space where I'm trying to consider my options. I am, however, confident that in time I'll figure it out and would prefer not to discuss this right now." Now that sounds very formal, and in practice it's probably not going to go down that way, but I have found that finding the ability to set boundaries, although it's the hardest, is often the easiest to get people off your back. Now it's crucial to remember that your journey is unique. Cringy, I know, but it's true. Take advice from your family members, sure, but with a pinch of salt. And it certainly helped me to know that when family members give advice, it's often based off of a negative experience that they had in the past in an attempt to try and protect you from getting hurt. The problem with that, though, is that hurt is both unavoidable and uncertain. If you were to follow the path that they advise, there's nothing saying that you won't get hurt, and on top, you may get hurt in a completely different way to what they did. For example, I know that for a long time, my dad advised me not to go into business because he ended up going bankrupt back in the day. And therefore, having a negative experience with business, he tried to get me to steer away from that. Now, would I have listened? I may have had a stable job, but I think the reality would have been that I would have been extremely unhappy. Side note, he has changed his mind on this since then. Realizing that your family members are also just trying to protect you at least gave me a little bit of peace of mind to not feel attacked, but rather made me feel like I didn't have to defend myself, simply open up to give people an understanding of what's happening in my life. Now, the key note that I want you to take away from this is that your life doesn't have to align with expectations of others. As I said 2 weeks ago, life is about enjoying the passing of time, and you need to figure out how you can best enjoy your passing of time. But just in case you need a helping hand, because I understand that it's quite hard to figure that out all on your own, then consider subscribing to my channel as I talk to experts and inspiring individuals to try and make sense of these confusing 20s. Thank you for watching, and a very Merry Christmas to all of you watching this. I'll see you in the new year.